Well, welcome to another episode of Rimshots with Sean. We are at Staggers, which you saw. So Staggers is a wonderful bar in downtown Dartmouth, does karaoke on Friday nights, all kinds of different things. This is going to be one. I tell you, all the cards, all the letters, all the fan mail was saying, get this gentleman on. There's been some heavy duty back and forth. I have Mr. Dave Goyetche. Thanks for doing this, Dave.
Oh, my pleasure, bro.
So,
thank you.
For starters, so you're a Dartmouthian that is now somewhere else. You're living where now?
Outside of town, like a good hour outside of town in Hants County. Little town called Stanley.
Stanley?
I think it has the lowest population in the world.
Well, that's quite a claim, but
yeah.
You know, people is great sometimes. So, and you're in town. You're playing the Celtic Horn tonight.
Yeah, every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks, and tonight would be, you're gonna love this, December 2nd, 2023, the last day of Kiss. So just there you go, and here you are. Right?
I'll have to do Hard Luck Woman tonight.
Please, and dedicate to me. I'll be somewhere else, but that'll be awesome. So, actually come over. It doesn't matter. We can do this right. Yeah, I've done this before where people have taken phone calls from plumbers and everything, so it's all good. So I guess we'll start off. So it's funny because part of the fun, and we're part of the fun that when we when we do this is social media is a funny thing. And so you and I have some back and forth all the time, and you keep saying you don't get me, you don't know what I'm saying. So I'm like, hey, you know what? That's fair. You send an email, you send a text, and sometimes the way that it's sent is, and the way that it's accepted is not the same thing.
And that's sort of a given,
right?
Really.
So we'll start by saying, you've been in this business how long? Well, let me back it up. You went to where? Where'd you go to high school?
Prince Andrew,
okay,
same as yourself. Graduated '82.
Okay.
And pretty much went on the road the following year.
Okay.
With a touring band from Ontario.
So you would be just so people locally know here. Hi, Debbie. So people would know here. So you would have came up with the Sean Kilbride. You would have came up with the Patrick Kilbride.
Sean and Patrick and I played in the band in junior high.
Yep.
And Sean Kilbride was the guy that I looked up to, like as far as musicians he was 15 at the time, and if Neil Peart was sick, he could have filled in.
Yeah.
At 15, and I'm not exaggerating.
And he's still that way.
He's the guy that I looked up to.
Yeah.
He was always that guy that's better than everybody else.
Right.
He was that guy, and Patrick also was on the bass.
Well, and everybody would know Patrick because he was in that Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial.
Well, that was his big first thing to fight, and he went on to play with a lot of jazz greats as he got older. But they were both stellar, like far ahead of their time, ability-wise.
And Sean, it's actually interesting, and we'll get back to what we're talking about in a second. But Sean, we opened for him when Haywire played here, but he was part of musical theater. He did Rock of Ages, Come From Away.
He was a short list of Kim Mitchell too.
He played with Kim Mitchell, no question. And Patrick Kilbride is the go-to bass guy in Toronto. So there you go. If anybody's looking for either of those guys, that's where you find them.
Yeah.
So back to what you were saying. So you graduate from high school. You go on the road with a band from Ontario. Who was who?
They were called Midway, and they were a bunch of brothers from Sudbury.
Yep.
And they in the '70s they wore the tuxedos. They were a show band.
Right.
And the show band kind of morphed into what you'd call like you guys a live show band, but not a show. Not all dressed the same and doing the same choreographed stuff. Sure. But the show, the lights, and the
almost like a Motown Plotters, four tops.
Martin Butterflies and load-ins that took 10 hours.
Right.
But they toured all over Canada and they paid really well. I mean, you had to work for it.
Yep.
I said, this is great. I couldn't make that kind of money coming out of high school anywhere else. My career at this, I was working at a tennis club, and tennis was my life.
Oh, okay. And
then they told me what they were going to pay me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll talk to the tennis people in the morning and tell them I won't be there because it was like 5 times the tax.
Right.
And we went to Newfoundland for 5 weeks, and it was an extra $50 a week there. So all of a sudden, I'm like 22 years old, and I got all this money, and I said, oh, this is kind of a pretty good deal, this live music thing.
Right.
So why don't I'll just do this?
Well, it's something that you're saying that's important because I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and you get these YouTube kids that are 6 years old doing Tom Sawyer and drums, and even you'll go to certain places and there's these young players that are really good, but they don't have the I'm 22 in the middle of nowhere, no mom or dad to back, and that's the one thing that's really missing.
Yeah, that's right. They don't get their kind of road rash, so to speak.
Right.
Your time on stage.
Great terminology.
But I still love it when I see a kid that can just wail on drums, guitar, and you got to hand it to them. And it is a lot easier with instructional YouTube. I mean, That's why these kids are so good.
I don't have any, but you remember having to put quarters on the arm of the record thing to slow it down?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's how you learn songs back.
That's right.
Or somebody the other day, I used to learn songs off an 8-track.
Yeah.
It's like if you missed a part, you had to go through the whole album.
Or
to get back.
lyrics. In my case, as a singer, you'd have to go to get the hit parader. And I'd find all these mistakes in the hit.
Yeah. It's actually, you said you were going to do Hard Luck Woman, and there's a line in there that they used to get wrong all the time, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, but I digress. So you play with
the whole other show.
That's right. It could be, and we'll have the Dress to Kill guys on for here. See, always selling, man. This is just all about
good, you're doing God's work.
Well, it feels like missionary work on some days, no question. So you play with those guys. So I remember myself, Peter Dalmont, Ian Fancy. So you guys would have been playing the bars. We were still in maybe junior high. But I remember, were you in a band called Harry Carey?
Yes.
Okay, so Peter, there was a girl that used to babysit Dalmont and I who always used to tell us about that band. You guys see that? And so we never got to see that band because we were too young by about a year. I mean, we started going to the bars at 15.
Right.
But was that like one of the next bands that you kind of took?
That probably would have been 4 or 5 bands after that.
Okay.
That was around 85, 86.
Okay.
And we were the only heavy metal band other than Mother's Fear at the time. But those guys were so tight. We thought we were good. We practiced a lot, and we had some good players in that.
Yeah.
Rick Martel mainly. He was the local Eddie Van Halen kind of guy. And,
Who was it?
And beyond, Rick Martel.
Oh, yeah.
A great player.
Yeah.
And Steve Creeper was on drums. There's a monster band.
remember
Kevin Barrows on bass.
Yeah.
And but I was singing Iron Maiden stuff. And I was just killing myself.
Well, that's
what we wanted to do, but then the agent put a girl in the band, said no more heavy metal, put a girl in the band.
Who was the agent, by the way?
Hudson Brothers.
Oh, okay. Because normally they come up, or Hazen Horseman, or Dwayne Coughlin. Okay, so
Harry Carey did maybe 3-4 gigs, Ice House and Truro, and that was it.
Okay.
We were too heavy for the mainstream.
Yeah. So, one of the things that, and way back when we first started this thing, and we got about a minute, and then we'll go to our next segment, but we did a tour around of all the places that were there in Dartmouth, and we counted about 28. So essentially, you could play 28 weekends and not leave Dartmouth. Do you remember those days?
Yeah. And but they used to, if you had an agent, and some of them specific, they didn't want you in the same town for long, because they called it overexposure.
Sure.
Like kind of the opposite of what we're doing now.
Yeah.
You know, if you can play in your hometown all the time, especially at our age and stuff, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was a no back then.
Yeah.
No, you be overexposed, people get tired of it. So play 2 weeks in Dartmouth, then go to Bathurst, then go to Newfoundland. All this ridiculous rooting, you know what I mean? But we listened to them because they were going to take
there's
us
a
on
reason
our way.
for that. We'll talk about that in a second. But
yes.
we're going to take a little break here, pay some bills, because we're a good podcast, but we still have to bring some money in, so we'll be back. Welcome back to Rimshots with Sean, and I'm not a corporate sellout, but I am.
Wayne's World.
Right, exactly. And not ashamed to admit it. Thank you so much to Trevor Legg and my friends at Coke for always being there for me. So we're here with Dave Goyetche. We're at Staggers. Great food. You're here all the time playing pool.
Well, this is my pool night kind of place for the last couple of years.
Right on. So, I guess we're going to jump around a little bit, but, part of you and I kind of engaging the way we do is just around, I'm going to say frustration, and I have it, you have it, of, I guess, what's going on right now. So, I mean, this podcast started because everything gets shut down.
Right.
You're starting to see some things now, like the Smitty's on Spring Garden Road closed, and that would be a direct result of, stuff that happened.
Yeah.
So, here's the opportunity where somebody's, and I say, hey, I'm sitting across the table. You got the audience. People can finally understand where you're coming from. And you're going to say what about the way things are right now? And pull no punches.
Well, I mean, that could be a whole other show. Sure. But if I could touch on you and I, a lot of it is because it's more frustration on my part because I got my spirit broken.
That's a fair statement.
First, after I recorded my CD and realized, okay, I'm getting older and nobody's interested in me, it's been for me.
Right.
My wife said, get over it. Don't play the victim.
Your wife's Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to school with her too,
Yeah, and my brother too, probably.
Oh, I know Paul really well.
Right.
Paul Ox, or Mike, sorry. Is Paul?
Paul,
Paul. So he was always in Revolution, and we went to talent shows.
Dave and those
they would always beat us. Revolution, we're second again.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't know we were the exact same age.
Anyway, so go on.
So, and so there's, a human nature is to be especially me in the morning. Like I'm a different. You probably notice I'm a different guy in the morning when I come back in the afternoon.
So, you know, and I do get that because
And-
sometimes it's like, what's going on here?
And I've been sort of a hermit and quite isolated for the last couple of years, and with not enough social interaction, real social, and you tend, and other people do it too. I think
Yep.
you tend to use Facebook as your not only your social outlet, but your release of
Yep.
frustrations.
Yep.
And it comes out probably more out of envy for anything, because you have this great attitude and you're trying. Even in the face of adversity, at least you're trying, and there's me saying, what's to you?
But you know what? Here's a
So,
watershed moment because
you know.
you say I have a great attitude, and sometimes I do, but a lot of times I'm just like you. But the problem is I've kind of backed myself into the corner where I've got all these people that are depending on me.
Right. But
So-
you're staying positive. That's
Well,
main
the
thing.
outward thing sometimes I'm staying positive,
Right.
but then you get in your own head about stuff,
oh, for
and,
sure.
and I'll give you an example. So you know, we were all there when everything shut down, and I had a bar owner that when they opened things back up, he called me and he said, "You know what the rules are?" And I'm thinking, if you're calling me and I don't have a bar and you don't know what the rules are, we're in trouble.
Right.
That started this whole sort of thing with the politicians about you guys are doing a bad job. And I was told join an association, which
yeah.
is funded by the government.
Right,
So
yeah.
there was a frustration on my part.
That's the buck passing. Not my department. Go do this and talk
But the
to them.
control,
Yeah.
right? They want to basically, what is it? Control
And they
the
have-
message, control
right.
the people.
And it's typical of people in a lot of different areas in life where they can't walk a mile in another person's shoes, especially a creative one, because they're
Yeah, no
people,
question.
because they don't have the ability to even have any kind of empathy towards what you're trying to ask them to do.
So here's,
Right.
and we can talk about the whole, what happened for 3 years. My other frustration with you, and I will say this, is that I know you're talented. I also know you're frustrated. But it's like, sometimes when you put posts up there and it's like, Dave's not taking a shot at, he's taking a shot at himself.
Yeah.
And I wish that you would just say, screw this, man, I can do it. I'm going to go out. It might be harder for you to get gigs here. There's got to be some places closer home.
Well, it's not only that; it's just I gave up. Like
That's fair.
I have Celtic Corner that's 12 years running, so
Yep.
they're the only ones that here's your bookings for the year.
Right.
And I just stopped chasing people around. I ended up focusing on work and family.
So let me ask you this.
But
do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy it when you do it?
Well, what I really noticed once we got into the COVID thing, because my pub band at the time, the Red Lions, was really grooving. Like
Yep.
we had all the major pubs, and we were poised to go into the casino.
Yep.
After 3 years of networking that,
Yeah.
like that week, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest gig like you think a casino like you see on TV and Vegas and stuff. But it was really good hours and really good money for a 3-piece thing, and it would have been a 6-week rotation. And I had networked that for 3 years, and then all of a sudden, okay, that's gone. So that was a sort of a frustrating thing.
Yep.
But I mean, it wasn't my idea. No control over any of it.
Well,
but it
there
does leave you a bit kind of. I don't know what the word is.
Well, frustrated, angry is another good one. I mean, the thing for me that's super frustrating is that, we knew what was going on. The message was terrible. It was up and down like a yo-yo, and I'm going to say it, Dr. Strang had a job to do, whatever, but he didn't lose dime one. And he's telling everybody, basically your business might close. And we're not trying to rehash 3 years ago.
No.
But then he gets the order in Nova Scotia while people were losing their businesses. And guys like you and me, let's think about it for a second.
That's kind of a kick when you're down kind
Right.
of thing, isn't it?
And so you're sitting there, and now the government launches this 988 thing, so it's for a suicide hotline.
Right.
And I'm thinking, wow, the government, who caused a lot of this stuff, and this is a broader thing, is now promoting the suicide hotline thing for mental health.
Right.
So I get the frustration. I do.
Yeah.
And and again, it's a daily thing for me.
Right.
So don't sit here going, oh man, he's got it all together, because I can produce several people that can tell you this.
Again, every subject we get on could be another show.
Sure.
Especially this. And you could go on, and everybody went through something. It affected everybody.
Yep.
I mean, there were some ivory tower people that just got raises and got to stay at home and work.
Sure.
We worked throughout. We went through not one but 3 renovations. So all of a sudden, if you rented a house, you weren't safe.
Right.
So, and here's me and my wife. The kids are gone. This is supposed to be our sort of our golden years.
Sure.
Empty nest, and now we can relax and have a nice little life, and we're looking at homelessness. So it was all a little frustrating. Dehumanizing, is that a word?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great word, actually. Because
And my wife always says, don't stay in victim mode. But when you are a victim of something, you tend to go there now and then, especially when you're frustrated or mad or tired or hungover. Or
yeah, and I mean,
just got up in the morning.
It's to her point, don't stay in victim mode. But sometimes, like, it's one of these things where, depending upon your personality, you overcome something, and then something gets through. So you're constantly.
That's
up,
right.
Down. I call it snakes and ladders.
And that's what I said when I said it takes the wind out of your sails and kind of, like what I said earlier, I forget the term, but I got my spirit broken.
Sure.
And it was already half broken, and that just kind of gave it that final, right? But what can you do? You try to stay positive and move on.
Yeah.
And the social networking thing has its ups and its downs.
Sure.
And it's misunderstanding. Like we're talking right now, we could say whatever we want in the same sentence structure.
And so what we're going to do, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to pick this up on the other side for our last segment with Dave Goyetche. Back after this.
Sounds good.
So welcome back to Rimshots with Sean. I'm here with Dave Goyetche. We're having some fun at Staggers, and I was presented a very interesting idea. So I'm going to pose it right now, and then I'll pose it at the end, and you're going to probably hear a lot more of it. Mr. Tony Mancini, or any council person, I'm going to lend you a set of drums. And what I want you to do is I want you to go down to city council, set the drums up, do your meeting, tear them down, put them back in your car. Tell me how the parking goes. I will be astounded if it goes well. And if it does go well, I will shut my yapper about all this stuff. But until then, we got the Junos coming up. We got to fix that. So anyway, enough on that till the end of the segment. So the frustration and all that, I get that. So, one of the things that's funny, so you said so from time to time, the scene's dead, and then you'll say something about karaoke, and I don't know if you're meaning to take a shot at karaoke or all that stuff, or if it's frustrating, or you're trying to articulate something that's just not coming out the way you want.
I think it's a mixture of mixed emotions. Okay. You know what I mean? Because it seems like I say, possibly envy is at the root of it, and the reality of my career sort of seemingly coming to an end, right? And then you have that, if you want it to go on there. A lot of times I'll look in the afternoon and say, why did I say that this morning? But I'm that guy in the morning, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of thinking out loud, but it's all me. And it's all from, and you say, you don't know the scene. And I only know my own little scene. So I'm not out there like I used to be.
And that's fair.
And so I can't speak for you. I can always speak for myself, and I shouldn't kind of say, well, you don't know what we're talking about, because you actually probably know more than I do at this point.
Well, but again, when if I and I think it's crystal clear when we're jousting back and forth. I mean, I'm 2 parts sarcastic, 2 parts trying to shake my finger or whatever.
Yeah.
But the big thing, and I said this to you a number of times in my posts, is like my frustration is that you're a guy that's able. You're a guy that can play. You can sing. You can, you've got a musical background. You've got people that will love to come and see you. And it just seems like sometimes you're just like, that's it. My arms are in the air. I give up.
Yeah.
And why I will always, because I can tell with you when you're to the point where it's like, oh man, and I'll just go, and it's sincere. It's like my thing for you, Dave, is I just wish you would.
Yeah. And I know that. And we do tell each other to F off in different ways.
Well, I won't, because I won't do that on social media. But you're right.
Using different terminology.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's always like, at the end of it all, it's always like, fair enough, Paul. Good enough.
Well, and I mean,
perspective.
One of the things about social media that you said, and I thought about this for a couple of weeks, because you a couple of times said that's not the way social media works, and I'm like, I didn't agree, and then I thought about it, it's like, And what I've come to understand is, when, whether you like it or not, you throw something out there, people are going to make comments. So I'll say all the time, this is my favorite record.
Right.
No, you're stupid.
Well, that's the perspective part. That's frustrating with everybody, right?
I'm a big believer that I don't block people and I don't take down comments. So if you're going to call me an a-hole, guess what? It's going to stay up there. I had some guy on my YouTube channel. I don't listen, I saw this was about Kiss, but I don't listen to a guy that uses a fan when he plays. I know exactly who you are, by the way.
That's just
But so that's the thing. So how much time do you spend on social media? Like, is that something that that gets your work? Like,
no, in mornings.
Okay,
which is
so you're not a good morning person. So that's fair.
Right?
Who is?
Yeah, but I mornings, then I check it in the afternoon, and I check before bed. But there was a while, like all of us, when you first get into it. My God, you're there all day. Because again, when you're a bit of a homebody and you don't have the physical ability to get out and mingle like the old days.
Yeah.
We just, all right, let's get together. So that's your way to do that.
Yeah.
And everything that comes with it.
I think
remember before Facebook, it was just YouTube, and you get into the comments, it's like, oh my God, like these people are so nasty, and then all of a sudden Facebook started with it.
Yeah,
well, if you're doing it, let's just be trolls or let's speak our mind, and it's all well and good, but you don't. Once you cross the line of not being a gentleman, there's no need of that.
Yeah.
At a certain age, you know.
Well, and let me hit you with something else too, because this is a frustration on my part, and it's not a dig directly at anybody. But I think what happened in 2020 is because people were able to get guitars and practice and make videos and stay at home and whatever.
For sure.
People that are probably just okay and maybe amateur were told you should be out playing, and guess what? They started playing. So what did they do?
Well,
you know what? I'll play for $50.
Well, that's what happened,
right?
to me.
It's been going on forever.
Yeah, undercutting's always been a thing, but then it got really bad because it kind of the levels changed.
Right. And I think, and you have always said, I don't know what happened. I think what happened is, so that happens, the club owners start going, well, this guy's just as good, we'll pay him. But what ends up happening is eventually the patrons go, no.
Well, that's right, Todd. But
Right.
in my case, it was like primarily a solo act for a long time.
Yep.
You know, before the pub duos and the trios. It was like, well, I got a 7-piece band that's willing to pay for less than what you charge. So who do you think you are? All of a sudden, well, I don't think I'm anybody, but I was kind of here first.
Yeah.
So that happened.
I
Now
totally
you
agree.
got these bands playing for solo money.
Yep.
And I won't say how much, but
Yep.
it's kind of not cool.
I mean, I won't name names. I could, but I won't. But
And
I mean,
saving money was an option, like was a thing. So that's where their minds went. They're not like us who thought down the road.
Right.
Well, what about the quality? You know, that's going to kind of
well,
screw up the balance on the scales.
And it
after a
is
while.
one of those things where sometimes you go, oh, you're a musician. Like I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about something, and oh well, you just think you're a musician, you know it all. Well, no, I know what I like, but I can also appreciate like The Pursuit of Happiness. The video that broke them
Right.
was made for about $200 in the corner of Toronto. It was
Yeah,
just black and
yeah,
white.
we opened for them,
Right?
Yeah.
But so anyway, it's all perspective. But I'm glad you brought that up because just before we wrap, I want to kind of tie it into how it used to be because I used to play the Moon, the Horse, all that stuff. I opened for a lot of my heroes.
Yeah.
You got to do that too.
Yeah,
that's a
it's
component
unreal.
that's
It's
not
surreal looking back on that.
But it's not there anymore.
Did we really do that, or was that
Right.
all a weird kind of dream?
Yep.
You know. And the Brogues specifically, myself, my brother, and Tim Black,
Yeah.
we had the same lineup for 10 years, which was kind of a thing, right? They really liked us at the Moon.
Yeah.
But the only band to ever give a shout out, no opening acts ever give a shout out, or mainliners never give a shout out to the opening act. Trooper gave us a shout out.
Nice.
And it was a moment in Canadian rock history where it's like, okay, is this really happening?
Yep.
And the Moon, everybody clapped for us, and it's like, that never happened before, and I don't think it's happened since.
No, and a lot of
pretty
people,
good feeling.
a lot of people, the headliners don't even see the opening bands, and then
No.
you come to realize sometimes it's,
Or the stage manager comes to you and hands you this letter of things you can't do and
Right.
can't say and can't play.
oh, there's another thing in
we can
itself.
go on and on, buddy.
But and so I think where we're coming here, we got to wrap this up. But I think where we're coming here is yes, things have changed because you and I kind of the sense that I was getting was it's dead, and I know it's not dead. However, it's
In
different.
comparison,
It's
it-
different.
it-
100% give you that.
There's new ways of approaching it,
Right.
which is what you're trying to do, which I totally get.
Well, and the whole pivot thing. I mean, that's a word that I kind of was like, you know what? If I hear that word one more time, however,
Pivot.
right. But there's ways you can pivot. Like the danger of things that happen now, and I have the absolute good fortune of dealing with a lot of people. And what happens is typically it's like life. Everybody finds one thing and they all go that way.
Right.
And it's the people that are onesies, twosies that are being told they're stupid are the ones that succeed. So I think if we keep hammering down, and you're what, 60? You're young.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, you're at the Celtic Corner. Go see Dave tonight, Saturday night, December 2nd, last night of Kiss. You'll probably see this a couple days later. Did we mention that?
I'll be in my Gene Simmons outfit.
There you go. We'll put on I want to see pictures. But if you want to play, see what's down your neck of the woods where you don't have to travel so far.
Well, there is a couple, but I'm a guy without a license. I wasn't quite ready to go roll in that sense because
Yeah.
I don't have my license
Yeah.
back and my own vehicle, which is kind of weird for a tradesman. But when I lived locally, all my work was like,
Yep.
I could get away with it. But now the landscape's changed, so to speak.
We'll wrap, so if you will, with this. My goal is going to be, now that I understand where you're coming from, we're going to totally freak everybody out, and it's going to be You know, it's going to be like the Rocky movie where we're high-fiving on the beach all the time. And you're going to see if you can find a couple more gigs to keep your mind.
Well, that's right. And I was going to say anything I can do, like I told you first, before you had your graphic design guy and everything, like anything that I can do. I write and do graphic design, and my son is a hell of an editor and a filmmaker and stuff like that. So anything we can ever do for you, you know, just say the word.
I think we're going to have a part 2 of this. So thank you so much for doing this. Finally,
yeah, no problem.
Good gig tonight, bud.
Yeah.
Mr. Dave Goyetche, and this was one. I know you guys wanted this. I always listen to the people. We always do it. So thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
See, grown-ups can work.
That's right.